$6 million new facility, and I don't know of another hospital in the entire United States that just dumped $6 million into a addictions program. And the cool thing about that is the hospital didn't dump it all in. We went out and raised half of it. And so even the Bryan employees that work for the 4,000 employees that work for Bryan ponied up to about $360,000 for our service. All the senior leaders gave, foundations gave. It was just amazing to see people step up and say, we want to see that service continue in Lincoln. So we did vacate the old nursing dorm, if you know where that is, on the south side of the hospital, but we're right next to it. We remodeled the old counseling center that used to belong to the mental health department. We gutted that completely, remodeled it, and attached it to a new two-story building. So it's right along Lake Street on the south side. I didn't introduce myself. I'm the director of pastoral care and substance use services at the hospital. Been doing it here for 15 years. I've been working in the field of chemical dependency since 1980, so I think that's a lot of years. So that's 35 years. And just to hear our first speaker this morning, I wish I could share her presentation with a whole lot of people about what's going on with marijuana and some of the lies. You know, I tell adolescents, they're not saying anything we didn't say in the 60s, and then they said in the 70s, and then they said in the 80s. And if you were a pot smoker, you probably could try to convince people too that it should be legalized. And so it's nothing new to be on this trend. We're just further down the trend than we ever were before. So briefly, the Independence Center has about 6 different levels of care. A lot of people, when they think about addictions treatment, they think only about bedded treatment, about inpatient. We do have 26 residential beds over there. And we have 3 detox beds, but we have over 160 people in care that are active in care. So it's the other levels of care that are very significant to the success. If you've ever sent someone to substance abuse treatment, you'll know that, well, I tell clients this, if this was the timeline of your life from birth to death, the time you're going to spend in treatment is going to show up as like a dot on your timeline. So the most important thing we can do with you while you're in treatment is plan for what's going to happen next. I could send you to what I think is the worst program in the state, and if you have a good plan for what you're going to do next to protect it, you can get into recovery and stay sober. So the most important thing I think that people don't really understand about substance use treatment is it's not what happens during that time period. Yeah, we're doing therapy, and yeah, we're doing group, and we're doing family therapy and education, but planning them to go back to school is huge. Planning them to get back involved with the SCIP group when they get back to school. Huge. Both our speakers, I think, alluded to that this morning. So when you think, you know, people all the time will call me up and say, I went to Valley Hope and it didn't work. I went to the Independence Center, it didn't work. I went to St. Francis, it didn't work. You can name any treatment program, and really what makes them either work or not work is the aftercare plan and the follow-up. Not that different than a diabetic who decides not to take their insulin. A person goes to treatment and gets out and doesn't take their insulin, they're going to struggle. If you play a role in intervening to get an adolescent to treatment, or you play a role in them reintegrating after treatment, that reintegration is a huge, huge piece. We do have a certified teacher in the state of Nebraska that works full-time for us. She tries to contact schools of adolescents and get a hold of their books and their studies and tries to keep them caught up. They get, I think, LPS, Lincoln Public Schools, still gives them 1 credit, don't they, Nancy, for completing treatment, which is sort of a misnomer because you never really complete treatment. But we give them a credit, try to keep them caught up. It's always interesting for me for parents. When parents bring kids into treatment, they seem more concerned that they won't get behind in school than the fact that they're blowing a whole bunch of joints all day long. So it's really important to them that they don't get behind in school, so we try to help them out. The different levels of care that we offer then is detox. I haven't had an adolescent in a detox bed in the 15 years I've been here. In fact, the detox beds never have meth addicts, they never have marijuana addicts, they only have alcohol and opiate addicts in the detox beds. You don't go through detox withdrawal from marijuana, you don't go through detox withdrawal from methamphetamine, you don't go through it from cocaine, from crack cocaine, you do from opiates and alcohol. People die from withdrawal from those 2 particular drugs. Then we have 26 residential beds. adolescent girls, adolescent boys, adult men, adult women. They got to go by the nurse's station to get to each other. We got 32 cameras around the facility to try to, people like to have relationships when they get into treatment. The intensity of the drug's gone, so we re-involve in other activities. So we have a glass wall in front of our laundry room. I'll let you figure that out for yourself. Something about the dryer, I don't know. Then we have a day program where people stay all day long, but they go home at night. Then we have an intensive outpatient program where people come 3 nights a week for 3 hours each night or in the morning. And then we have an outpatient program. So the whole philosophy is gradually de-intensify the care over time. We don't have anything that's preset, nothing's predetermined. So in other words, there's nothing magical about a 30-day this or an 8-week that or a 10-week this. Substance use treatment did an interesting thing when managed care hit the field and said you can no longer give everybody 30 days just because the benefit policy says it will pay for 30 days. We got real creative and we created other levels of care, but guess what we did? We made them set lengths of stay. 8-week this, 10-week this. So at the Independence Center, we don't predetermine anything until they get there, and then we decide how long we're going to keep them. We could keep 2 adolescents could be in the same room together. One stays 7 days, the other one stays 21 days. It all depends on what that plan is thereafter. Briefly mention, we always involve the family, but I want to mention briefly the drugs that we do see, and then I'll talk about the tours. Marijuana and alcohol have been, for the 35 years I've been in the field, they've been the number 1 and the number 2 reason why people seek substance use treatment. Never met a meth addict, never met a coke addict, never met a crack addict, a heroin addict that didn't start with alcohol, marijuana, or tobacco. You ask them that, did you start with methamphetamine? They look at you like you're crazy. They know that they don't start with those hardcore drugs. So we've had number 3s over the years, but they've never bumped the 1 and the 2s out of the 1 and 2s. Even at meth at its heyday, cocaine is at its heyday, still alcohol and marijuana were the number 1 and number 2 reason why people came into treatment. But something changed with prescription drugs. When prescription drugs started going as wild as they've been going, they're about ready to push number 1 and number 2 out of the way. Right now over there, I didn't check the numbers this morning, but it's usually close to 30, 40, 50% of our people have opiate issues, adolescents and adults. So prescription drugs have changed because we have prescription drug users that don't enter through the tobacco, alcohol, marijuana route. They enter through the rotator cuff, through the hip surgery, through the knee surgery, through PTSD, through Mideast conflicts, whatever. So there's a lot of prescription drugs are changing the face of the whole addiction field. The adolescents you work with, you already know this, they tell us they get most of their prescription drugs from our cupboards, from grandmas, from friends, from cousins, go into the restroom, dump half of the bottle out, put it in their pocket. You never even know it's gone. So a lot of the prescription drugs are coming from that route. But